Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
It's live.
Are you
talk.
ready?
Live
Are you
talk.
ready?
Yes, sir.
Are you ready? All right, greetings and welcome to Live Talk. I am your host, Arthur Jeremiah, and alongside me today is my co-host, the minister, Samuel.
Hey, welcome back to Live Talk.
And I also have my brother, Zekiel.
Peace, how y'all doing?
And today we do have a special guest, and I'm gonna get to this special guest when we come back, but we're gonna go to our general statement and disclaimer. General statement. Live Talk is proudly powered by TBS Goodwill, Builders of the Highway Foundation, and Men of Purpose. Together, we're bringing about awareness to the everyday challenges facing individuals, communities, and our nation. We tell our stories, listen to yours, and always respect different perspectives. Want to share your voice? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com to be a guest, or if you would like to contribute to our mission, purpose, go to livetalkorl.com to give a donation. Disclaimer. Information provided during this event and others to come does not constitute the official opinion of Live Talk or its affiliate entities. It is strongly recommended that viewers seek independent expert advice regarding any topics discussed, as legal requirements differ significantly across jurisdictions and are subject to frequent changes. If you have questions or concerns, you can always email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com, or you can DM us on Facebook and or Instagram at Live Talk Orlando. All right, and welcome back. I do have my panel here today. And I do have with me my trainee in training, my son Aaron. So he's going to be doing a little training today, so you'll see him in the background. But I do want to welcome my panel, and I would start with, I'll start with the one that I didn't introduce, and that's Miss Finance Pro. We love to have Miss Finance Pro come on to our show because she brings a lot of insight, when it comes to the topics that we talk about. So we just want to welcome you to the show. Always, we just love to welcome you back to the show. So by all means, thank you for coming to the show, and thank you for coming on and being able to join us today and share some insight.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to tune in into the conversation in the studio.
Indeed. All right. So before we always try to open up this kind of break the ice, and Minister Samuel, I'll start with you. How you doing, my brother? How has life been treating you? We're coming into a new calendar year. How you doing?
I'm actually doing wonderful. Good to be, like you say, into a new calendar year. Looking forward to always making this year better than the one before. Same thing in life, same thing with Live Talk. So it's the perfect opportunity and segue.
All right. And my brother Zekiel. Good to see you, brother, live in the studio today.
No doubt about it. Wouldn't have missed it. And I'm doing terrific. Just glad to be a part of this right here and see what we can create.
Indeed.
And not to cut you off, but we have not had our brother in studio for a while. Can we give him some kind of round of applause? Let's welcome him back.
You know what? Let's do that, because see that's
Can we give him a little celebration, because it is amazing to see him in studio.
right.
No, well, welcome back.
Indeed.
Blessing to be able to be back.
No, that's very important. I'm glad my brother is back, because without him, Live Talk wouldn't be live. So he brings the live talk. So we really do appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is season 5, episode 10. And we know the numerical value of 10 means completion. So we're going to be going into a new season, our next show. So that's a beautiful thing. But before we get into anything, we're going to go to, well, let me just give a rundown of the show today. Did I miss anything? Make sure we have everything in place. I'm going to give a rundown of the show today. First, we have the minister word of today. Right after that, we'll have a short commercial break. And then we'll get into our main topic for the day, which is how to make your dreams a reality. Now, this spins off of how to make the dream a reality, because we know Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday is coming up. So we want to kind of put a spin on that. We'll come right back from that to do another commercial break, and then we'll get into some community news. I like to call it community news. We say rural news, but it's community news. And Ms. Finance Pro going to share some with us today. And then we'll conclude and end with a motivational quote or reading by the host. So with no further ado, Minister, what is the word of today?
Okay, the word of today is going to be change. Change. So change, by definition, means to become different. It means to turn or be converted, to replace with another. Change means to alter. Change is to become new, cause a transformation or transform. Change is to alter one's attitude or approach. And some synonyms for change are to remake, modification, reworking, shift, and revise. And a couple of good quotes that we want to start this year off on change. And the first one is, your life does not get better by chance. It gets better by change. And that as we enter into this new calendar year, I'm missing it. Let's get my quote. The secret of change is to focus on all your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. So as we enter into this new calendar year, let's seek to make some positive changes.
I like that. That's going to be a huge part of what we're going to be talking about today. Anybody want to, as it look like Miss Fast Pro, you want this? Okay, you just getting ready, all right? You just, okay, all right, getting the mic ready. Okay, well, thank you for that word of today. That's going to be something that we're going to be used throughout our conversation today, which is a beautiful thing. But we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
What do all these people have in common besides a beautiful smile, healthy teeth, and gums? They all use Zadi toothpaste. Zadi toothpaste is made with all natural ingredients. Zadi toothpaste is fortified with moringa and baking soda. Zadi toothpaste is suds-free, making it an excellent choice for kids. All natural, fortified, and suds-free. Get yours today at noystore.com.
All right, welcome back. Now, today, our initial topic was how to make the dream a reality, because we was getting into the field of Martin Luther King and the reality of what we're dealing with, even this week, and of course we're gonna have, I guess, some parades and stuff coming up. So we do want to acknowledge that. Although we appreciate his works in the Black community and abroad, his dream for equality and justice for Black people in this American system of just lists instead of justice, we say just lists, still has a ways to go. But I do love the fact that he came to that reality later in his ministry. and people don't, talk about that enough as far as, what he pretty much came to the conclusion of dealing with this system. But that's not our main topic today, because we're talking about today the dreams and how we come into a new year, a new calendar year, and how we have certain, resolutions that we put in place, and how we seek to make change within our own lives, and how that change can then better our families and our community as a whole. So today we're going to be talking about that per se. And I don't have in front of me, Miss Finance Pro, you always, I like sending information to you because you always keep us on point when it comes to certain things.
No, absolutely. And engaging in the conversation. I guess with the finance background that I carry too, the two things that that equate to me when reflecting on Dr. King and his mission, although multifaceted, is making sure there were equal rights. And when we think about those equal rights, more so equal treatment, right? Equal treatment on how we're treated, especially among first responders within our own community. So it was just important to him, or my takeaway of Dr. King, equal rights and equal access. I know that he's known more for the integration part, but that was not all of his mission. His mission were for people of colors to have equal access, because even though we were lumped into our community, we did not have fair treatment or equal access to truly build our community. So we were constantly faced with hurdles due to government and involvement. And so with Dr. King and his dream, we needed, because a lot of the times they like to show, hate and division. But our biggest struggle was just the rules they had in place, redlining, how they made it difficult for us to become homeowners. And, we can't fault a neighbor, for someone that wanted to, judge you based on the color of your skin, when we're also just dealing with FHA guidelines that say a person of color would not qualify for that loan, and that be an actual government-backed loan. Someone's hate versus someone's rules. You can hate me, but we might not have to ever deal with each other. So that's fine. Have those feelings. But when the government is involved, trying to block home ownership based on, the color of our skin, that's the bigger problem. And that's the bigger enemy.
Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, ma'am, indeed. I'm so
That's
sorry.
okay. That's okay.
I got two gentlemen in here, but your whole demeanor, your character, it comes out very masculine.
Oh,
so
sorry.
I don't mean to call you a sir. It's just the masculinity
That's
of your energy.
Ever since my mother told me that I was a king, even though I'm her daughter, I believed her. The best kind of way.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what I'll add is that what we have to learn, part of that being positive and being assertive.
Yes.
See, this is the other part of that, not just people of color, but it was also women.
Absolutely.
You weren't supposed to
Yes.
see, you're a black woman.
Yes.
As a black man, we had racism. As a black woman, you had double racism.
Yes, we did.
And see, when we move past that, being positive and assertive is a good thing.
Yes.
But women weren't supposed to be that way.
We were not. We were not. Thank you for highlighting that as well. It's the truth.
Indeed. But no, that's we have to acknowledge that, right? We have to come to the acknowledgement that we have went through some things here, and we have to acknowledge Dr. King for his commitment and his efforts towards trying to make some change in that place, in that space, I would say. But you can see, I'm gonna let you chime in a little bit, my brother.
I think Dr. King was able to expose the fact that no matter the circumstances or the atmosphere that you immersed in, that your ability to exemplify who and what you are was paramount. He focused on your character because he understood that no matter who you're up against, long as you exhibit that moral force, that you'll overcome anything. And this is why he would tell people that wanted to join his organization that it's a nonviolent organization. He understood he wasn't fighting against flesh. He was fighting against a system that had been implemented that oppressed the people. In order to create a new system, he understood you had to have a new way of thinking. And so what the masses have become familiar with from the media of the doctor is that he wanted the integration so that you could be like the oppressors or white people. But that wasn't his objective. His objective, as she said, was to get equal opportunity all across the board in life. That was his main focus. He wanted you to be treated as an equal because he understood if this system put in the equality, then whatever potential that I had could come out. But if you put in an inequality in any aspect of the systems that govern life, then you are oppressing me. You're never going to allow me to reach my full potential. It's like putting a seed in the ground, but you never give it any light. You just keep it in darkness. It's only going to survive for so long underground. This is the mindset that he understood about us, that we had been into a mental darkness in every aspect of life. As the finance pro told us, we don't know nothing about economics. We didn't know how to eat. We don't know how to domestically deal with one another in relationships. We don't understand conflict resolution. So these were problems that were at the forefront of us as a people and America as a whole that he was trying to eradicate. But in order for him to be able to do that, he understood that, hey, you have to get yourself on point first in order for anybody to respect you. It's just like similar to now, they got the Black Lives Matter movement, but your black life don't matter to you. We're the biggest killers of one another. So if it doesn't matter to you, why would any other ethnicity, want to have any value to your life? It makes no sense. So this is what we have to, as I said, change. That's the focal point of 2025.
So with that being said, how do we start this process? Because many people come into the new calendar year and they make certain resolutions for themselves. And, after maybe weeks, well, I say days,
yeah,
days, weeks, months, quickly that changes or they deviate from that. So what are some of the things that first we'll start with, what are some of the resolutions? What are some of the things that we can think of, family or whomever, that may seek to do, and then you would see them revert back to their old ways. So let me toss that around the room.
Well, for someone that usually hosts a vision board event, I would say the top 4 things usually have to do with health or weight as a resolution. It has to do with finances, of course, wanting to manage their finances better. And then also a New Year's resolution goal has to do with a major purchase, whether it's a new vehicle or home ownership. Those tend to be the top, New Year's resolutions. Weight Watchers knows it. Jenny Craig knows it. The commercials flow through the television, the gyms, the memberships, join now, hit your New Year goal, things of that nature.
So with these New Year resolutions, everybody decides that they won't change. Yeah. They need an authorization in some aspect of their life. So they sit down and they create goals, but they have no system in place to make that goal a reality. If you look at sports, some of the greatest coaches produce a system. You look at Phil Jackson, he produced a system that allowed him to produce champions. You have to have a system, because if you have that system, then it'll produce the habits that you need to keep your resolutions, not only throughout 2025, but eternally. So if you got to have a system, everything is a system. You go work at any fast food restaurant, they have systems. The manager get fired, they got somebody that can step right in because they have a system that then train them to be able to do that. So that's in every aspect of the world when you step outside of your house. So why wouldn't you have that same system for your house, meaning for yourself first? That way it'll be easy to lose weight. You have a system. You go get a personal trainer, they have a system for you to follow to be able to gain the muscle mass or lose the weight that you're looking for. So you have to start with producing a system. Without that, you're never going to be able to hold a resolution longer than a couple of seconds. weeks.
I like
No, I like that. So what are some of the biggest hurdles? I hear system. What are some
I'll-
other things that we think?
When we're talking about change, part of that is education.
Mm,
Mm.
And honestly, like whatever you have to be like everybody, I don't know how much billions they make with the weight loss, but to start, but it begins with an education of where are you with your diet or with your health.
Yes.
Because if you don't understand it, it's almost impossible to keep it. Now, you've probably got a briefcase, if not a room full of these when it comes to everybody say they want to manage their finances better.
Absolutely.
But like you're saying, system, you have to be educated and understand your finances
Mhm.
before you can even make a change. Because if you're not even conscious of what they are and how they work, not going to be able to make a change, and you're going to fall right back into the same pattern that you were doing before.
Oh, absolutely. And society has a syndrome I like to call instant gratification.
Mhm.
When people make these goals, they want it today or they want to be able to grasp it. So we also lack the discipline. Also, people are easily intimidated. So, yes, they make their New Year's resolution and then they say, wow, but a new home costs $450,000. I don't
Mhm.
have $450,000, or I don't even make the kind of money to, but hey, you went all the way to the top. What about mid-range?
Mhm.
You got to start somewhere. Yes, maybe the average home, but it doesn't say all homes.
Mhm.
So stop looking at the expensive. Start with something small. Or most people say, well, they don't see themselves in a manufactured home.
Yeah.
Why not a
Why not?
manufactured home?
mhm.
It's still a house. Have you not seen how luxurious? And what if you decided to own that home? Just 5 to 10 years, you built yourself enough equity, and now you're going to the next phase of home ownership. But people, if they can't see the end goal, then they're out. They're out within the first week. They're out within the first 30 days. But going back to the words, just because you haven't changed your mindset and you haven't given yourself a playbook, you haven't put a system in place to allow you to climb that ladder.
Mm, 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 mm. So we're talking about system, and then we're talking about
Yeah.
changing that mindset.
Right.
So how difficult can that be though? Because I mean, we dealing in a society, like you said, a microwave society, instant gratification. We have social media, like everything that can distract you. How can a person, home in on that change, or just thinking about what's the next step? What can I do to I guess to rid a lot of the distractions
Mhm.
that I incur on a daily basis. Who want to take that?
Well, I think a part of that goes to the actual of have realistic goals,
Mhm.
like
Attainable goals.
attainable. Like
Mhm.
first, change takes time.
Mhm.
Like getting rich, you're not going to get rich overnight. If you're not going to change your diet overnight, it takes time. You might want to say, you know what, I want to do this in the first 30 days. To get to my goal, it might take me 6 months.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
Like getting that home. You might not get the $450,000 home
Right.
first, but you can get a lesser home first. But you have to have attainable goals, and it's okay to take them. Like success sometimes comes in small pieces, and if you can be successful, it makes sense. Like the reason most people get they in debt, they get overwhelmed. But if you can pay off a small debt, you feel really good.
Mhm.
But if you go after that big one and you can't pay it off, you know what? I'm gonna just go out on Friday and I'm gonna just party it up, and it doesn't
Right. There you
even
go.
matter. And so but because you set an unrealistic goal.
Mhm.
Mm.
And, oh, nope.
Go ahead. The thing is, when setting a goal, one of the flavors of that is being goal orientated,
Mm.
which means to be strongly motivated and highly organized in achieving a goal. So organized means to work in a systematic and efficient manner. Systematic root word is system. So you have to have a system. And then when we look at the Great Light, it tells us that there's a time for every purpose.
Mhm.
So that means you have to set a time. So when I have a goal I want to gain 50 pounds, okay, how does that become reality? Okay, I'm going to manage it. I'm going to break it down. I need to gain 1 pound a week. So I need to eat X amount of calories a day. So you make it, as you say, more manageable when you make it in smaller pieces.
Yeah.
It's just like eating. You can only eat a buffet 1 spoonful at a time.
Mhm.
So when you create this particular system right here to allow you to achieve that goal, you'll see progress every week. That's why people, they step on the scale to see progress. Progress fuels motivation.
Mhm.
Because now when I see that right there, it's going to make me be even more hungry and continue to do what I need to do. So the first step is you got to have that motivation, that desire to want to attain whatever goal that you have set for yourself. And then you have to be specific about the steps that's necessary to make that goal a reality. You got to have a step 1, step 2, step 3. It's just like any AA or NA program, they have particular steps. It's just like if I want to get educated, I got to go from kindergarten, first grade, second grade, so forth. You don't go from kindergarten to college, back to second grade, back to the 12th grade. You don't bounce around like that. You have to have order.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't have. They have goals, but they don't have the order to make that goal tangible in their life. So after the first couple of days or weeks, the motivation wanes and then they give up. So you have to have that step-by-step process. You walk step by step. You don't take 3 steps at one time.
I love, you said progress fuels motivation. That is a powerful bit that I just put in my little coin purse of words. I'm keeping that phrase. I absolutely love that because typically when individuals want to sit down with me and they do, when it talks about just to talk about money or those goals, I always remind people of the popular saying, as they say, money makes the world go round. Be obsessed. And I try to use that word, be obsessed when it comes to your finances. Be obsessed when it comes to how you make money and be obsessed with managing your money. I always say when it comes to life and obtaining just any goal, YNOB, you need a budget. You need a budget. You got to discipline yourself to have a budget. And you want to make sure that your budget is realistic. A lot of times, the reason why people don't follow budgets is because they give themselves too strict of a budget. Who is going to keep that strict of a budget? So I always say, okay, what are the things you like to do for leisure? Because yes, you might not, and you're not going to be able to do it as much as you want to, but we still have to give yourself spending money, even if you typically went out to eat 4 times a month. Maybe in this budget, you can only do it 2. Yes, you're sacrificing, but still because it's within your budget, you have 2 months of where you would have usually spent this amount of money that's now going into a savings account. And because now you're saving and you're seeing it, you're going to be motivated to continue to save because there was progress that was being made.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're talking about system.
Yes.
And I'm gonna bring another word into it, accountability. So when it comes to like how important it is to have a support system and maybe a accountability partner.
You have to. It's impossible to achieve anything by yourself. Again, if we take sports, you can take Mayweather. People may say he may be the best fighter, but he had trainers, he had sparring partners, he had dietitians, he had personal trainers for his workout. So nobody accomplished greatness or success in this life solo. It's impossible. You're going to need somebody. So why not have somebody that's going to hold you accountable? It's like parents, they may want to go to work not because of themselves, they got to feed their children.
Right.
You have to have that reason why. So whoever your person is or persons are, you know that I can't let them down. If I don't go to the gym today, and I know they going to the gym, that's going to let them down. So you got to have that accountability. That is a must when you setting goals. You have to have somebody that you can gonna hold you responsible, because you're more inclined to do what you're supposed to do then. It's like a penalty phase. Everything in life either have a reward or a punishment for you not accomplishing whatever task you set out. I'm gonna punish anybody that goes against the rules of that govern my life. Come outside, you steal in my car, it's gonna be a punishment for that. Breaking in my house, it's gonna be a punishment for that.
Right.
But if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, how do I punish me? Do I give me a pass? Do I allow me to slide?
Mm.
So charity begins at home. So I have to have that accountability for myself. And if I don't have it on a day-to-day basis, then that's when I need one of my friends, one of my comrades to come in and say, hey, why you ain't show up? Why you ain't do this right here? So that is a must in accomplishing anything on our planet. You need a team.
Mm. Mm, mm, mm.
I love that too, because once you kind of gave us the breakdown on Floyd Mayweather, I'm seeing he had a community.
Mhm.
And even to circle it back to Dr. King and this weekend and what we're discussing with dreams and just goals and things, we should hold ourselves as a community accountable to each other.
Mm.
But then we have to also understand that this is a community thing. So for us to grow individually, we still have to grow as a community, because as a community, that's where our power lies. And we are able to look at other communities that have come into this country, and we have been able to see their success and monitor their success. And we know that a lot of them, they've come from very small beginnings. But because, and I mean, even us living in Florida, we can look to the Cuban community as that blueprint. Hey, honestly, we can look to the Haitian community.
Yes.
Yes, that island is very poor, but it is a lot of successful and prominent Haitians in this United States.
Yes. Specifically Florida.
Right. And it's come from building and growing within community. So once we know that as a community, that yes, we are going to sacrifice together, we're going to work together, we're going to build together, we're going to raise together. And so once you see one person out and pulling the next person through community is success, because we've said it, no person can be successful alone. And we know if you're by yourself, you're gonna have a headache. You're not gonna be at peace, because then you're the one everybody calling when they need to hold something. So you might as well let all of those around you come up, so that way you don't have to carry that weight, on your shoulder or by yourself. So yes, we want to hold each other, but build each other for accountability. But I love that.
I see, while we talking about Dr. King, as prolific as that I Dream speech was, and we talking about change, what another very important message that he had that it's not talked about, but he was, especially in the later years, very big on it, was about community and what we could do for self,
Yes.
about how we can change and pooling our resources and supporting one another. He was really big on that, because something that you said earlier was like, if you can have a neighbor, they can be whatever, they can be racist or hatred. You can put up a fence, but when a system puts a blockage, see, you can't build a fence up against a system.
Yes.
But what he said was, as a community, when we begin to bank one another, when we begin to do insurance with one another, when we do business with one another, no one can stop that.
Yes,
and he was very big on that. But that part of his dream was not talked about as much.
No.
But he was really serious about that. And and that will make a very big impact on us as a community.
Indeed. Yeah, just kind of, spin off of that, I'm going to say pick it back off of it. Say I'm going to spin off of it. No, but when it comes to King, and like you say, he had his I Dream the dream speech.
I have a dream.
I have a dream. I think as we're talking about systems and mindsets and changing, we have to have that same, a dream, within ourselves to be able to do the things that we have set forth for ourselves coming into the new calendar year. So if it is a certain situation where we're trying to change or lose weight or pick up weight, being committed to that is a key process, and creating a system is going to be so critical to that process. When we take all of this into consideration, understanding, and I like what you said about that little small achievement, and I think you said it as well, brings motivation to you to keep moving forward. How can social media, and a lot of us may not, I mean, some of us in this room use social media and be on social media, maybe not everybody, but how can you use social media to be like a positive influence on someone that's trying to make a change, whether it's to lose weight, better health, or to be a better wife or be a better husband, whatever the situation may be, that they're looking for, and to make a change. How can social media be a positive platform for that? Because we know all the negative sides of social media, but there are some pros and cons when it comes to social media. I'm gonna let you, Miss Finance Pro, probably chime in on this first, because I know you.
Well, social media allows us to have access to a world we may not have known.
Mhm.
Social media also allows us to get firsthand reality, a firsthand account, because everyone's phones are now cameras. So, yes, while the media may try to paint us a picture of one thing, right? Because we know social media is powerful, because that's how Sean King himself was banned from social media. He put in our face the civilians of war. He put in our face bombs dropping down, instantly killing children. He put in our face, what was happening on the other side of Israel. And so when social media has the power of becoming the reality, that is a good thing, because now we have another side. Sometimes, a lot of the times, with the press and the media, that's why we have the Democrats and even the Republicans. We can use that. If you listen to a media that is supporting the Democratic Party, you get a different version from that same media that's supporting the Republican Party. Social media seems to be that fine line that gives us the truth, despite of what party line you choose to affiliate yourself with. And that's when it becomes powerful. A lot of the times we, as a people of color, we did not always want to visit the motherland, because the media made us think and show us just one side of home. They showed us the shacks. They showed us the ghettos and the plumbing and the mud houses. And we said we don't want to go to that. Who wants to go there? But they didn't show us the infrastructure. They didn't show us the technology. They didn't show us the kings and the kingdoms. They didn't show us the palaces. They ain't show us 16-year-olds driving the little Maseratis. Like, what? They didn't show us the gold that washes up on the beaches. And we like, well, I want to see some gold to wash up on my beach. All we got over here is seaweed. So we don't get to see the paradise. So social media opened up a world we didn't have an access to. And suddenly we grabbed our passports, and some of us uprooted up out of here behind social media, the gateway.
Correct. Social media can be used in a positive manner to allow somebody that has a system to show it.
Yes.
So it's like I'm filming myself working out. The goal is lose 300 pounds, and I'm filming day 1, day 2, and so forth. I'm showing you the working out. I'm showing you the diet. So I'm showing you the habits you have to cultivate. And we know it takes anywhere from 30 to 60 days to develop a habit. And this is why most people resolutions die within days, because they want, as you said, that instant gratification of accomplishing a goal, when this is a long-term battle. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. So you have to have your mindset equipped that, hey, it's going to take time to accomplish this. You have to give yourself the gift of time. And that's what people are not doing because of the world we live in. Everything's fast, 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 fast. But you didn't gain that weight fast. So you're not going to lose that weight fast.
Right.
So you have to go through the necessary process. And social media can allow you to do that because, as I said, you can film yourself and people can watch it, or you can just speak about it. You can say, hey, man, this is the books you need to read. This is the podcast you need to listen to, or this is the movie you need to watch to give you an idea of how to produce a system that'll work for you. And as she said, I can reach the four corners of the planet through social media. So it expands me out of my neighborhood. So when I get on there, I can talk to people and they can translate it into any language on the planet. And now people all over the planet that 20 seconds ago had no idea I existed. Now they can be like, okay, I like what he got going on. I'm going to implement certain parts of that right there. I'm going to emulate this right here and see if I get the same results he get. So it's just how anything is used. You know, it's like the sun is neither good or bad. Too much sun to burn you. The right amount of sun, grow your fruits. So you need it. It's how you implement it.
And not enough sun, you can't survive.
I don't know, because some places 6 months ain't got no sun. They still flourish.
Well, let me. If that sun was to go out, we could not survive.
No doubt about that.
So we do need it.
No doubt.
And I think I'm hearing it's like that's so. If you put out something positive, now it can reach out not just beyond you as an individual, your community, your neighborhood, your city, your state. It can go across the world. But the thing is, put out put something positive, put something that actually works, so people can see, hey, you know what? That actually did work for them. Maybe I can have that work for me.
Absolutely. And you know, when we talked about time frame, a lot of the times with our folks, when it comes to rebuilding, right, and building just the Black community in itself, so that we too can have a seat at the race relations table, because that still very much exists.
Yes.
Again, we suffer from instant gratification, but I'm happy that you kind of broken down, like, you can do 10 jumping jacks today. You still got to do 10 more tomorrow and the next day, especially if you're only doing 10, to see that kind of progress. So progress takes time. What we have to understand with dealing with this system, we suffered from 400 years of slavery. But then after slavery, it's been just 100 years from Jim Crow laws and the civil rights movement. So when we add that time frame, because that was still a form of enslavement, and even the prison system, which was a spin off of slavery. It wasn't hard at all for a Black man to go to prison, especially just 40, 50 years ago. You could be in front of the store and they have that loitering, and all of a sudden loitering has you doing time.
Traffic.
So we have to understand this system. So if they had a over 500 year head start, we are infants and trying to break those chains. So for you to look at an infant and expect that infant to already know how to walk, talk, and read a book. Like, who gives birth to a baby and says, all right, baby, you know, you're looking at this newborn and you want the newborn to get up and feed itself. Like, that takes time. What happens first? You got to raise it. They have to learn. We have to learn. And now that's another powerful thing with social media. It gives us the ability to learn things that we didn't have. Because a long time ago, we used to feel sorry for Haiti. We used to think, even myself, that's a part of my roots. And I said, they were cursed. They went against God. They did all that voodoo. And that's why they are suffering. God is the reason why they are suffering. Had no clue how much America owns that land, among other people. Had no clue of the iridium, of the gold, and all the natural resources that they are just taking. How do you have a country so rich in resources but poor in everything else? And the United States handpicks who they want to put as presidents. And the second that person goes against the United States, they somehow go missing. They somehow get assassinated. They somehow have to flee a country that we are robbing. And so we didn't learn this because they wanted to teach us this in any school. We learned this off of social media. We learned this because they showed us the mountains and we got to see it firsthand for ourselves.
Colonization is real, still taking
Yes.
place today.
Yes.
Haiti was never, people were never cursed. It's because they decided to stand up and fight for their freedom. And because of that, we're going to have an embargo against you and force you into poverty. And then we're going to come in and steal what's yours. And then we're going to paste your face up there for the bad. But the people are the ones are not causing it. It's the systems that came over that's causing that.
Yes. It's a system.
So if we're saying that every country has a system, they have a banking system, they have an educational system, they have a bus system. Again, you have to develop a personal system.
Right.
The whole world is showing you it's about systems.
Yeah.
Because if the bus system didn't exist, how many people wouldn't be able to get to and from work, to and fro to the grocery store? If you couldn't count on this bus being here at a certain time, you standing out there at the bus stop, you don't know when the bus gonna come. You ain't gonna be able to tell your boss, hey man, I was waiting on the bus, it just decided not to show up today. You're not gonna want to hear that because they're gonna say, no, the bus system has a system. They know at X amount of time it's going to be there. So again, in order to develop these systems, it's going to give birth to your habits. Your habits going to determine your position in life. And this is what we got to develop. And this is what the doctor was focusing on about his dream. His dream was, okay, this is the end goal. I want this, I want that as far as integration. I want equality and all that. But that was the end. What were the steps in between the goal and the end of it? What was the process that was going to make that a reality? He knew that white America wasn't going to wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, we mistreated y'all. We're going to bring y'all to the round table and we're going to be on point together. No, he understood you was going to have to do certain things. And that's why he always focused on, okay, America's the most military-wise greatest country. We can't fight like that. So we got to be nonviolent. We got to take the Gandhi concept and let's go nonviolent, because if we go and fight these people, they're going to wipe out our communities in seconds. They're gonna fly over, drop all kind of stuff. They're going to put stuff in the water. You know nothing about wastewater treatment, so you're going to drink poison, the whole community dead 2 hours later. So he understood the tactic that was needed. So a lot of people, especially the younger people, say, and I know I was a victim of this right here growing up, that, man, ain't no way in the world I'd be following the man right there talking about nonviolent people sticking dogs on me, hit me in the head, hit me with water hoses right there. No, man, I would have been out there. But he saw the reality that you would have been wiped out. So he knew that you couldn't beat them physically. So now let's show them to the world to be immoral people by the way of their treatment. So it was all about your character. That's why he needed you to keep your character on point and don't try to fight fire with fire. So you have to now personally not fight fire with fire by keep the process that you got going on that's not working. You have to realize it's not working. It hasn't worked for you. That's the only reason you sit down saying, I have this new year resolution. That means what you had going on was not working. You want to upgrade. But again, how does that look? Like I say, I think the biggest problem with people is they don't have a process to bring about change. I want to change. I want to get better. I'm a habitual liar. I'm telling you, how do I stop lying? You're like, oh, brother, pray about it, brother. You ain't giving me no process. I need a step-by-step process of how to make that a reality. And that's what the dream is all about, of making your goals tangible on a daily basis.
So,
what
go
I'd
ahead.
like to add on to that is that when you're talking about systems, is that we have to put certain systems in play. And most of those systems start like locally, first individually, like families, and then within our own communities. Because something that his finance pro said, and you said 100 years. Some of this, it was 50 years.
Right.
It hasn't been that long.
No.
So it's not realistic to think you're gonna have Rothschild wealth like Chase.
Right.
I'm gonna call it out. You're not gonna have Chase Bank wealth
Right.
in less than 50 years. because they've been doing this for 500 years plus.
Yes.
But you can begin the process of building that
Your Rothschild.
wealth
Absolutely.
today. And it begins with something that you see, something that we miss. That, like when you're talking about home ownership, that was the biggest wealth influencer in this country. But we as a people have missed out because right now some of us are very wealthy, but as a people, home ownership, we're one of the smallest. And then we don't transition that wealth over to the next generation. See, our children start off at zero, whereas someone else's child or other communities start off building on top of their wealth. And then the next generation build on top of their wealth. Just by doing simple things like purchase your first home. I'm going to say first, because it's your first don't mean it need to be your last. But we don't talk enough about that because that's one of the biggest transitions of wealth. That's just one of them, a small one that we need to begin to implement because other communities, see, we can look at our Hispanic brothers that come in our community and we like them, our Haitian brothers and sisters that come in our communities, and we say that they'll live sometimes 2 or 3 to a family. And we laugh at them. Meanwhile, we rent.
Right.
They buy. And then the 3 to a family buys. What they do is they buy the house across the street. They were 4 in that house. Now it's 2 in each. 10 years later, 20 years later, they own 10 homes in the community and we're still renting. That's a reality. Those are systems that we're not paying attention to, but it's very real when it comes to transitioning that wealth off to to our youth.
Oh no, yeah. One of my favorite stories is, and I'll make this one quick, is my mother who once had a yard sale and opened her doors to a woman that had been misplaced, who had just herself and her daughter with her. And that this woman, however she came back through into the country through a Salem, through another family member that brought them there, did not get the support that they were thinking that they would receive. This family member brought them in to basically make them an unpaid domestic servant. So this individual was suffering. Mother brings in this person that didn't know but wanted to help, and within 10 years, this individual was able to work hard and get their papers in place and get their spouse and their other child into the country legally. Within 8 years of that, this individual continued to rent one room for my mother with their spouse and 2 children, but worked extremely hard. Now the children are in med school to become a doctor. The other son is becoming an engineer. And these individuals are home owners already. To go from homeless and displaced to homeowner, and the children, by the way, went to a school system that they were definitely made fun of because of their background, focused on their grades, focused on what King fought for. So because of their grades and being minorities, we're able to rank up on those scholarships. So most of their education is being paid for free. But that's the beauty of the American dream that a lot of us don't take advantage of because we are still sleeping. Because we haven't put systems in place and understand that through sacrifice, there are many blessings. You just have to be willing to sacrifice and be okay with living outside of your comfort zone just for a little while. But when you think about that time frame, I gave you 10 and I gave you 8. These people went through almost 20 years of humbleness, 20 years nearly of renting one room in someone's home. But look how far they've come because of it.
I about to get to that. That was my next question. I'm glad you shared that story. But before I get into that, because I would like to hear from my two brothers in regards to someone that you may have known that set some type of resolution for themselves and may have attained that resolution. But I do want to give the listening audience an opportunity at this time. If you want to kind of chime in, I do want to open up the lines. We're talking about the dream and your own dreams and how to attain those dreams. And we're going to probably lay out some steps. I'm gonna have the panel here to share some steps in regards to attaining some of those dreams or resolutions that you may have set for yourself this year. But the lines are open if you want to just chime in. By all means, you can at this time. You just can unmute yourself.
Which is perfect because I know it was a lot. We're talking about individual dreaming and we're talking about dreaming as a community.
Right.
Is it reality? Can it be a reality? The
What-
why and why nots behind it.
What is the spinoff of Dr. King's dream? I had a dream. And we have to think about that. His dream was equality, justice, for all. We also understand that, the Constitution wasn't, written for our equality or justice. But, it was something that he dreamt of. And we're still dealing with that today, how to be included. And a lot of us still trying to be included into this system. This system still seeking to reject us in so many ways. So that's why I'm glad that we're talking about community coming together and how we can have that support group and how we can have, accountability amongst each other. That's very important. But if no one want to chime in, I do want to go ahead and ask. Oh,
no, I have a small piece from that since we kind of talked about dream. I thought it'd be nice to share a part of his speech of the dream, especially as it relates to our conversation today. Dr. King said, "So even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal."
mm, mm. But we know in their Constitution they ain't identified.
Well, that's why
as-
he said to live up to its true creed and meaning.
Right. And that's something that we will be as we become conscious of who we are. That's something that we have to attain ourselves.
Right. Because we have to be conscious of this system.
Mhm.
We have to be conscious of how this system was built so that we can be conscious enough to then create our own system
Correct.
that will realistically challenge their system
Mm.
and force change.
Martin Luther King said something that was very eye-opening to me. He said, it was a question asked to him. Did I say Martin Luther King or Malcolm X?
You said Martin Luther King, but I think you
Okay,
intended
I
Malcolm
meant
X.
Malcolm X. Malcolm X said something that I was just kind of looking at an interview, but he said something that was very interesting to me. And the Nation of Islam, like most Black institutions, we believe in nationalism from from our standpoint as well, because we have seen every, like my brother was talking about, every other country that has created a system for themselves have established themselves within the world's I would say it like that. But he said something that resonated with me. And I think the interviewer, he talked about the what did he talk about? He mentioned the Jews, and he said I'm trying to think of the actual name, but he said you had all European countries that came together and found a part of a land, and they took this land and placed these people there, gave them all the resources and everything that they needed. All we're asking is for America to do the same thing. Give us the resources, go back to our land so that we can cultivate and build our own land, that we don't have to depend on this system like you did with these people. and I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but it was an eye opening to me because I look at like even our situation here in America. You know, one of the things was separate but equal. Now, in my head, separate but equal was a great idea because now that gives us the ability to be separate within the country that we have built. But the equal side, I understand that you can't now deny us of the resources that we need in order to educate our children. You can't deny us of housing. You can't deny us of all these other things that allows for us to be a people, you know, as a nation. And those are some of the challenges that we deal with, that we have seen great leaders that have risen up and have fought against. But I do have to say, you know, when it comes to Black nationalism and understanding the importance of having the resources that we need, understanding that we was brought here into this country, it's only right that the people that brought us here give us the resources we need in order to be a people ourselves, in order to be a nation of people ourselves. I want to see that right. But I do want to, you know, and that's something I want to share because it was eye opening to me. And I kind of reflect back even on, you know, the most honorable Yahweh Yahweh kind of building a nation. You know, you had the nation of Islam, got the nation of Yahweh. And the same mindset was instilled within these organizations, but you're seeing the powers that be come against that because they've seen a nation of people flourishing and doing well for themselves. And this goes all the way back to
outside the system.
Black Wall Street, you know, how they bombed and destroyed that, you know, something that we attained, something that we built. And it was something great, you know, for our people to be able to see and even to reflect back on even now today. You know, that's something like we're going back to experiences and how we see certain things and how we want to reflect off those things. So these are just things that we have witnessed and have seen for ourselves that we can begin to reflect off of that can now help us in attaining some of the dreams or some of the things that we're seeking to do in our lives individually, in our community as a whole. But I want you brothers to kind of share something that you have, you know, witnessed as far as someone attaining those you know resolutions for themselves, or just give some advice on what a person can do, you know, to attain some of the you know the dreams or some of the things that they have sought after.
Well, the world is full of rag to riches stories. You know, I know we've all, if not personally, know people have read about or watched documentaries concerning people. But the advice that I would give anybody and what I give everybody that I come in contact with is there's two books that will help you develop the system that you need. One is called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and another one is called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. So these two books focus on how to develop habits, how the mind develops, and the way it would allow you to produce habits that will create the system that you need to accomplish whatever task you set for yourself. So I would advise all the listeners to, you know, read these books. And also, everybody should have somebody that they can look at and say they have come a long ways. They have prospered in some aspect, even if it's just straight character traits. You have a dude that used to be a gangster or a thug, and he didn't change his life around. So he had to have some type of system he implemented that took him from one form of mental life to another form of mental life. So it's about systems. Your body has a nervous system, a muscular system. It has 9 systems. You live at, it's called the solar system. So everything is about a system. So I can never emphasize enough the importance of you developing a system that will give you the habits to be able to accomplish whatever you envision for yourself in every aspect of life, whether it's financially, relationship wise, dietary, whatever you want to do with your life. Create the system that will produce longevity. Without a system, when motivation fades, you're going to give up on it. And this is why resolutions die within weeks. That's what the stats say. 89% of all people resolution die within 3 weeks. So by January 21st, the resolutions are out the door and you back to what you've been doing because you don't know how the mind operates to be able to change. It takes time and you're not giving yourself that gift.
But I give them 2 more days. We gonna make them this year. We want to break that cycle. And I heard you say something about this country living up to its creed, and it has to live up to its creed, but we have to make it live up to its creed. It is not going to, and we can see after 400 years, it's not going to give it to us. But if we take it and make it, it becomes a part of it and it moves that needle forward. Because I can tell you, and many might, I know in my lifetime before 2008, I would not have believed that I would see in my lifetime a Black man become president in the White House and become president of this corporation.
Absolutely. We joked on that one. You could be anything but that.
Couldn't believe it. But guess what? One of us decided to kick and say, you know what? I'm going to take the chance and the opportunity. And he was able to fight it and he did it. Now, that was a small step, but it was also a large step. But it was done with as much systems that were in place against it, with as much hatred as there was. Someone said, you know what? I'm going to take this dream and push it to the next level. So we as individuals, and I want to stress community, like the systems, it takes place as individuals and communities. Like I always like to say, all politics are local. We make the biggest changes when we make those changes within our own community. And those are changes that's tangible. Like we can look across the street and see our neighbor. And we can give a helping hand out to our neighbor. As wonderful as social media is, we can reach all the way to China on social media. We can reach all the way to the motherland and go to Ghana in social media. But it's difficult. See, it's like that Jim Crow, that slavery. See, we got, after 400 years of slavery, I say this to all people, Black people, white people, we got our people, the reason we struggle is because we got PTSD. It's hard for us to walk across the street and see another Black man like our brother because the system taught us that he was not our brother. And those are the barriers that we have to be able to break down. And then we make real changes when we can look across the street and see, you know, why not create a scholarship for somebody in our community, even if it's $1,000 book scholarship? That's very attainable that we can do. So we can make changes. The system not go, when we do that, they can't stop us. But then now that child can go on and get that education and learn out that they can get, there's opportunities out there, but you can't be afraid to knock on the door because Dr. King said he did things to help open up those doors. But if we don't walk through the doors and come in and make a difference, it's like forgive me, I'm gonna use you as an example. You're a Black woman in the United States. You opened up a door. Nobody you walked through the door. Dr. King and those behind you opened up the door, but you had to walk through it.
Absolutely.
And then once you walk through it, you were able to make the opportunity. There are systems in place against you.
Absolutely. They don't want and expect us to be comfortable just because you go through the door. And so then the fight also becomes, okay, once I get in here, how do I make it easier for those that come behind me? What would usually happen, especially in the business world, is that because we would be so far and few with a lot of those rooms, that someone that carried my complexion, immediately we would lock eyes. And there would be that comfort, that almost like a reassurance, I got you, you got me. And eventually, after working the room, of course, we find our way to connect and want to support because it's just an unspoken conversation of, I see you. I know it wasn't easy for you to get here. It wasn't easy for me to get here either. But we are here. We're going to make the best and most out of being in this room.
No, because I mean, at the same time, you walking through the door, that don't mean you're gonna be welcome.
Oh, and
when you
certainly
walk
was
through the
not. And
door.
certainly was not.
And then
You
now,
have to approach them because they weren't approaching you. You better
Yeah,
know
'cause-
that they still don't approach us.
right. And then you're at your comfort zone at that time, but you know that's what
Mhm.
it's gonna take for you to get to the next level.
Absolutely.
You know, and you just have to show them, like, you know,
Right. Since
I'm God.
since I'm here, and since you're already uncomfortable, let me just shake the room up some more.
Right.
You know.
All right, so we are going to go to a quick commercial break, and we're going to shift gears a little bit, Miss Finance Pro. I'm gonna let you share something coming back. All right.
All right.
Because Scott and Associates always treats me like family, I refer my family to them. So when preparing for my taxes and I know exactly what to bring in coming in, it makes the process so much easier. Anyone should hire Scott and Associates because they are professional, respectful, and very knowledgeable. And with all of my heart, I can always count on them.
All right, Miss Finance Pro. Now we get into our our community news. So you have something for us today.
I absolutely do. And coincidentally, it does coincide well with our topic and what we've been discussing. Just, wanted to share and highlight Mr. Walter Butler and his family of Altadena, California. We know California has been suffering deeply with all the fires. But Mr. Butler, he went viral on social media after really little to no coverage. To me, I say no coverage because didn't even hear about this community before I saw his video, which again emphasized went viral. But the community was not being televised like the other prominent communities, like the Palisades that's on the beach or Malibu, California. But his family, they had a legacy within that community, and his family owned a combined 9 homes in Altadena.
Wow.
And so for those of you that don't know about Altadena, Altadena, California is a predominantly Black middle class community in California, in which African Americans have had history going back from the 1960s and still managed to purchase homes despite all of the redlining and things like that. And so in Altadena, that created that common saying of the white flight. The white residents left that community, but more of us went, built it, and it was to this day a very successful and again middle class Black community. But when those fires came, it was sad to know that those residents that were there said they didn't see the fire trucks.
Wow.
A lot of fire trucks were not in that community. So many have actually died, and that community nearly burned crisp because they basically resorted to getting their own water hose and were trying to hose down and save those homes.
Wow.
Going back to Mr. Butler and his family who had built a legacy, all 9 homes were burnt down. They lost all the homes in the fire.
Wow.
And so the other thing that's very concerning to the community, so I want us to continue to highlight, is that the residents there are very concerned that Altadena will no longer be that successful Black or middle class community that it was. They're concerned because a lot of residents had gotten notices of insurance being canceled. So no insurance, or even for those that still had insurance making the claims, they want to make sure that there's fair and equal treatments on how claims are handled. Also, we're hearing a lot of funding and money being raised. Their dollars for that community specifically is not the same money that Malibu had, but Malibu is the one that has all the filthy rich people. So why are we giving millions and millions and millions of dollars to Malibu, but not to Altadena? a concern that I have is this is the perfect recipe for what gentrification looks like. So it's very concerning, not just the Miss Finance Pro that follows the numbers, but within the community, there are two attorneys. And this is an article that I did pick up from USA Today that have actually put together a GoFundMe. And they are working with, it's the California Prince Hall Masons because they want to ensure and fight for fairness all across to rebuild. I did click on their GoFundMe. They have like a $5 million goal because we know legally it costs a lot of money to fight. Out of that $5 million goal, as of yesterday when I checked, they had only raised $218,000.
Wow.
What's the
So still, I'm going to look so that you can share that link. I
put it
tried
up.
to find that and my
Okay.
hands can't locate it, but I definitely want to make sure that we do have that information.
because I could have put it up on the screen now.
Oh, yes. Well,
Yeah.
I will try my best because it was heartbreaking to see that 218. But ironically, as I mentioned, Walter Butler, who went viral, when he went viral, he was on Good Morning America Friday, he and his family.
Well, his
And
family
so-
got out safe, but
Yes,
lost
they
the
are
property.
safe, but they are misplaced. Properties are burned. They're trying to rebuild. But as nice as it was to see coverage, there was a person on there. And they basically presented the family to where each of them will have $15,000 apiece. And I can't believe this man was on live television talking some, oh, I'm sorry, it can't be more, but we have to give to the others. Sir, are
Mm.
you kidding me? I couldn't believe he was bold enough to put that on camera. But that's the stigma that we have always faced. So we definitely have to save ourselves. And shout out to the Altadena community. I wish I could have visited. Had no clue that this prominently, Black community existed. But the residents are concerned for good reason. They do fear that the community will be lost after this fire.
See, that's what social media can play a big part, and we,
Yes.
as a community of people, can support them because even wealthy people, they have memories. But if you rich and you have multiple places to live, they don't need insurance. They got money to build back.
Right.
But if you need insurance to build back, and now we know we have a fight, that's when gentrification can come in
Yes.
and take it. And
But-
social media could definitely play a part of a GoFundMe where we could support that nationwide and help get them back to where they were.
Yeah, and also, I heard like some of those homes that was purchased during that particular time, some of these people was getting these homes for I think $30,000-$40,000, and now these homes are worth $1 million. So they're not getting the same. They're not going to be compensated the same way as others may be compensated. So now it's taken away from their generational wealth. So that's something that really stood out to me as well. And I'm happy that you brought this to the forefront because even that part of California I haven't heard of before. And just to know there's a prominent Black community. It's important for us to know because I've seen people on television talking about, their homes, like, some of the ones, I guess, in Malibu and all them.
Palisades, the wealthy area.
They got social media pages, that music, they got all type of stuff going on. So these people got to have other property and homes other places. I say, what about those that don't have, property and homes in other places?
Yeah, they're in a shelter or a hotel.
Right.
Until their money run out.
Yes. His family specifically, they had spread out as far as Arizona. So some of them had to resort to other states. And because they have been basically displaced and lost everything, they have limited funding that they're relying on for just their daily needs and essentials as they figure out what's going to be the next step in rebuilding the home. The one good thing is that within his family and within that community, there has been a commitment. So our tradesmen, there's a certain gentleman, I can't think of or recall his name, but I know that he is a carpenter, and there was another guy that was an electrician, and they are vowing brick by brick. They're going to make sure that they do their part to rebuild
Put it back.
every home, just about every home. But as we say, it takes money to go around. and this person is trying their best to labor, but hey, it costs money to buy the bricks.
Right.
They're nearly trying to not get paid, but if you don't get paid, how are they going to eat? So it's a lot of sacrifice, and I'm going to commit myself because
Yeah.
technology, but I meant to keep that link because when I saw the little bit of funds that was raised, I said that's it.
Hmm.
But I know that that's it because of the coverage. It's still not getting good coverage enough. I just so happened to remember him going viral as he was crying, stressing that they lost everything. And so it just so happened I caught the family again on Good Morning America and had to do my own research to kind of follow up on his story.
No, that's good. I mean, we try to highlight those things that people don't talk about in the mainstream media because we're always not looked at like the other communities are looked at, and we have to create platforms for ourselves to put the word out about what's going on in other places in our community and around the world. So I'm so thankful that you research that information because a lot of times you have to search for that stuff, man. They have it so hidden, and it's like it's happening to us, and it's like, how are we going to get the message across if we don't create platforms that we can talk about this type of stuff, and then share this type of information? So if you find that link, I do want to put it up. We have about 3 or 4 minutes left in the program today. We'll definitely try to have that on our social media pages, whether it's Facebook or we have something on Instagram concerning that. But I do want to stay connected to this story.
Well, I will share that it looks like I found the actual family page. And although as a community, the attorneys only raised 218,000. When it came to the Butler family, they actually had a goal of only raising 250,000, and they have raised $908,000.
Mm,
And if you've read this man's story, he is a community man.
mm,
So I know it'll go a long way, but when we do the math, we know the math ain't mathing. I mean, even though it's great that he, had $908,000 raised, that family alone owned 9 homes. What are we saying that each home was worth 100,000? Absolutely not.
yeah.
Not in California, especially.
A million
So,
easy.
right. So really they've raised enough to build one house back and you got 8 more to go. So, and then this is a community within itself. So we still want to watch and support, but I can at least give you that link.
Okay, what is that?
So with GoFundMe, let me just share this and send this to you this way so that you can hopefully post it easier.
And let me ask you something in the process of that, because I know a lot of times people talk about insurance and stuff like that. What have you looked at or researched in regards to that? Like what the insurance companies are doing?
If the insurance companies have canceled you, and I think that's why it's important to have some legal backing, these attorneys want to make sure that the homeowners whose insurance was canceled, just a month prior,
Mhm.
what their rights are, how long did they have insurance with that, particular carrier. A lot of times with those insurance companies, if you are already canceled, you get nothing. There are times that sometimes with claims, they will refund you, but only up to a certain portion of whatever you had to pay. So it's almost like, well, we're not going to insure you, but we will give you your money back. That's definitely not going to be an even trade.
Right.
Clearly, these companies were aware of an ongoing problem, and no one resulted to, fix the problem. They just said, "Hey, you guys are canceled because you're sitting in a disaster,
Yeah.
and we're not going to cover you."
Which leads to like what started these fires?
From what it's being shared on social media, the power of social media again is apparently there is well, I guess we can call them a billionaire couple, and I didn't know that this is possible, but education is power. They somehow control the water in California. How do people control water? And it almost makes sense because I'm like, okay, am I watching homes, even though we're going back to the rich homes, but I'm looking at the Palisades in Malibu. How is a mansion that's sitting right there by the ocean burning? Like that really intrigued me because it's like the water is literally right there. But understanding that a water supply is controlled by individuals is just something that my brain still can't fathom. But it made me think of, sometimes we think about these third world country and how they have running water. I've never been so interested in a water well in my life because it's like, they would have had a better advantage if they caught their own rainwater and kind of had a backup supply because clearly, California,
they can
because
get a
those
hold into the ocean.
yeah, California, due to a system that should not even be legal, has allowed people to control your water.
All right, so I did put that on the screen for people to be able to see. It's the link. There is the GoFundMe. I probably put too many. It's www.gofundme.com.
Yeah. But
So-
Walter Butler, if you want to just Google Walter Butler,
okay.
California, or Walter Butler Altadena, you will get a history. And wow, Altadena, I truly wish I knew of this prominent community. So, my hearts go out to all of those affected. But, when it comes to understanding this community and the Black middle class, these individuals worked and built this community. It's not the same as, Paris Hilton, who has generational wealth and
Yes.
Right.
She lost her home, but of course she can build back.
absolutely
Insurance doesn't matter.
no insurance
And-
doesn't
But she'll probably get her insurance money.
right.
But if she doesn't, it doesn't matter.
No, it's a write-off.
Yep.
Right.
She gets to write it off. She doesn't have to start over. And I think that's where the devastation started because when he cried on his original video where he went, he was stressing how this community, like a lot of people, lost everything. And this particular individual was known for doing anything he could for anybody and has taken care of a lot of people
He
just
probably helped
within that
build
community.
it sounds like.
Absolutely. A veteran to the community itself. And so the outpouring effect afterwards is a great thing. However, they have so much more to go. And, although it's been great, it's very small compared to what everyone else is getting. And the reality is they just have a long way to go and a long way to build.
Right. Well, this comes to the end of our show. So at this particular time, I do want to leave you guys with the last word, and we'll get ready to close out.
Well, I'll start out. We began with change. We go in with making a 2025. We want to make positive changes, and you want positive changes that you can see on a daily basis.
Right.
Don't set them too high, but make sure you attain them. We get a buddy system. If you need somebody to walk with you, get your buddy to go walking, get your buddy to go to the gym. If you're looking to change your diet and your health, get someone to work with you so you can have someone help you along that journey.
I'll make it quick. If you're looking to start, be smart, SMART. Make sure your goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound.
Create your system. That's smart.
All right. So, and I just want to leave everybody with this. It's Galatians 6:7. It say, "Be not deceived, Yahweh is not mocked." It says, "For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." What I get from this is the energy and effort you put towards something is what you're going to get back. So we want to be mindful of the energy and the effort we put to anything that we seek to make that difference or change in our life, and understand that when we are committed and consistent with it, we'll get great results. So I leave everybody with that. I say from the host, peace and prosperity, and from Live Talk, we are out. Thank you for watching Live Talk. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Live Talk Orlando. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit on the notification button so that you can see more videos like this. You want to join the show? Email us at livetalkorl@gmail.com. You can also follow the host on Facebook and Instagram at Arthur Jeremiah. And visit the website, thenoystore.com, to pick up your copy of The Spiritual Significance of a Name.